when the movie first started and there was that scene where they're in the bedroom, I'm like, you know what? This is actually, I kind of like this portrayal of like a married couple because it feels really real. But then as the movie went on, I was like, no, these people are the worst parents of all time. These people are the fucking worst parents.
I mean, if there's any lesson that I learned from that is that if my house is ever going to be poltergeisted, is I just got to be high.
Look, Mr. Todd, help me.
Ben.
Throughout the whole movie, she seems to be kind of like, okay, cool.
Well, it's one thing to be like, check out this cool trick with the chair. It's another thing to be like, she's done it so many times. She has it mapped out.
Yeah.
She's like,
and then puts her kid in the danger of it.
But she did put a helmet on her first.
She did.
So
she did.
That was very safe.
She didn't grease the floor well enough, but she did put a helmet on her.
Yeah. Because she already did it without the helmet. The kid kept hitting the wall.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, when Dad comes, we'll put a helmet on him.
If Dad asks, you've always had the helmet.
Yeah.
Mommy, that burn. Oh, sweetie, I'm sorry. The floor needs more wax.
And then they just put Robbie in a cab.
Oh, yeah. Robbie.
Oh, my God.
Take the dog with
The
you.
scene where they put their, 10-year-old son in a cab is just like, goodbye, son. You're a man now. Time to go to the city and get a job.
It was a
What are you
different
talking about?
It was the 80s. Kids took cabs all the time.
Yeah, their older kid, they're just like, I don't know, she's staying at friends' houses or whatever. And you can only imagine these friends, their parents are like, do you really have to stay at our house every night? Like, what's happening at your house? Like, is everything okay?
I hear the mom's got a weed problem.
Yeah.
Making stuff is hard, especially in the entertainment world when there are millions of dollars on the line. And we are going to talk about these disastrous, never-ending, and sometimes dangerous productions. This is The Shit Show.
Happy Halloween, everyone. Today I am joined by Ray.
I'm here.
Clint.
Hello.
And for our very first time, a guest.
Oh my gosh.
Welcome, Sequoia.
I am so incredibly honored that you would let me be your first ever guest on this podcast that I love. It's very exciting for me.
Oh, that's good.
We're so excited you wanted to be on our podcast.
Yeah. So,
This is really just an audition to replace me.
yeah, subtly.
Oh my
Well,
God.
not so subtly. What can you bring to the table he's not?
A lot.
I literally had the thought today where I was like, Clint's going to be he's going to be all self-conscious about us trying to replace him.
If you were not, you would have done it in a much more tactful way via text.
Would have been like,
Yeah.
You're out.
dear sir,
No
we
longer
no longer
need-
require your
Cease and desist. Yeah.
please cease and desist attending
Creative
our
differences.
podcast. Oh shit.
Party different ways.
It's okay, Clint. I literally don't have time to do another podcast, so you
I
are
didn't think-
safe.
Well, speaking of that, Sequoia, you do have your own podcasts, one of which Ray has been on guest twice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So tell us a little about those. What is your elevator pitch for
my
them?
Goodness. Yes. Well, I have two shows. I have one called Fanatical Fics and Where to Find Them, where me and one of my best friends read to each other the most bonkers Harry Potter fan fiction that we can find. Written usually before the release of book 7. So we're like really getting to like nostalgic fan fiction times.
Do they get sexy and all?
Yes, they do occasionally get a little
All
bit
right.
sexy, a little bit. Not in any way that you want them to.
Okay, and then the other one.
Yeah, so my other show is But Make It Scary, which is the one that Ray has been on. We take a romantic film and rewrite it as a horror film. So me and Ray did My Best Friend's Wedding.
Which is already basically a horror movie, so there wasn't like a lot of work to do.
Exactly. I turned it into an alien sci-fi horror. Ray turned it into like a cult horror experience. It was very fun. So that's what we do over on that show. That is my new one, my baby, my precious, as it were.
And it is so good, so please go take a listen to it.
Okay, well, since your podcast makes films scary, how about we talk about a film that was already scary to begin with and has a history of being considered cursed? Poltergeist.
Dun, dun, dun. Spooky.
Spooky, Chris.
Well, based on our experience of watching it on Friday night, I would say that it's cursed because I almost got poltergeisted at Nicole's house. It was bullshit.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Okay.
That's right.
So you know how like
crazy shit happened that
one of the main elements of this movie is that the ghost like reveals itself, or like I don't know, whatever the entities, whoever the hell they are, reveal themselves through the electricity. Like there's all flickering lights,
Right.
like weird shit happening. So we finished watching the movie. We're hanging out, talking. I go into their bathroom. I like walk in, turn the light on, turn around, lock the door behind me, start like unbuckling, and then the lights just turn off. And I was like, oh, fuck, that was weird. Like, what? And so I kind of like just try the switch again a couple of times going like, oh, why isn't this working? And then they turn back on. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's strange. And then they just start flashing.
Oh my God.
And I was like, I run out of the bathroom and was like, you guys. And they're all like, what? And I just like point and you can just see like flashing lights down the hallway. And I'm like, you guys.
She just comes running around the corner like,
like full like risky business, like sock skid, like you guys.
Yeah.
And then Nicole just goes, oh, they're probably trying to find the network. Because every single one of the light bulbs in their whole fucking house is connected to like a smart device so that they can like
he can change
the colors or whatever the hell.
Right.
And so that one moment just happened to not connect to the Wi-Fi, and it just.
Oh no. I would not be surprised if Gavin was just fucking with me or something where he's just like engage poltergeist mode on his phone. Like, fuck you. I am such a scaredy cat about scary movies. And so it was just the most perfect bullshit thing to happen to me of all people. Where I'm just like, poltergeist.
Did this one scare you?
There was a couple of jump scares. This is the first time that I've ever seen it.
There are parts of it that legitimately scared me.
Being a person that I grew up watching a lot of horror movies and I love a lot of them. Poltergeist was one that just never came across my radar. And this is the first time that I'd ever seen it. There was a couple of jump scares that I was like, oh wow, that got me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not one that I'm going to think about for days after and be like, oh my God, I was so scared by that. But like in the moment.
By it. I was going to just ask what your history with this film is. And for me, like, unlike Clint, like I had seen it when I was a kid, probably when it was on TV, like just playing on whatever edited version of it, and all I really remember is the tree and the pool. Like that's all I can remember. So for me it was like watching it brand new, like never watched it before.
Yeah, I hadn't seen it since I was a kid, and I remember pieces of it as we were watching it. I was like, oh yeah, I remember. But the thing that stuck out to me the most that I definitely remembered was the clown. And they actually there's kind of that fake out where like toward the end where it's like, it's all over, everyone thinks happy. And I had a moment where I was like, I swear there was more shit with the clown. Like, I swear the clown was scarier than this.
No, that hit, and I was like, I have a lot of shit to talk about that has not happened yet. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
This movie better keep going.
Yeah. No, I remembered thinking, wait, the clown was way scarier. The clown was way scarier. And then it was.
Yeah. I mean, when I was growing up, I was not a scary movie person. I actually wasn't a scary movie person until a couple of years ago. I think the first scary thing that I watched that I was like really invested in and was like, wait a second, like the lore that happens behind these scary movies can be so cool, was The Haunting of Hill House. I watched all of Hill House, and then I was like, do I like scary movies?
Wait. The most recent?
The Netflix one?
The Netflix one?
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting.
I thought you were talking about the one with Liam Neeson.
Yeah, The Haunting.
Yeah.
No,
because that's the same story, isn't it? Isn't The Haunting of Hill House
based on the same thing?
Yes.
Because I remember that one, like the cherubs in the bedposts were like staring at it. Oh, God.
Anyway, so when I was a kid, I didn't like scary movies. So the first time I saw Poltergeist was with my friends for Halloween last year. So I saw it a year ago for the first time. And I have watched it, I think, 3 or 4 times since. I actually really like this movie.
I basically had the same experience on the first day of shooting. Something happened, and I've talked about it. So, and they even, like when the DJ looked into it, it was the scene with the special effects on the teapot again. And that first day, Tobe would whisper something in our ears, and then they would yell action, and we would do the scene, and then Steven would yell cut, and Steven would come around and whisper something in our ears. And that went on for about 6 minutes, and Beatrice Straight said, "One director, please, this has got to stop." And it went on literally for about 6 or 7 minutes, half an hour at the very most. And she just said, "That's not how we do this. We have one director on here." And after that, Tobe did everything. Steven had lots of input, like Oliver said. It was his script. Yeah, it was Tobe.
All right. So in 1977, Steven Spielberg's Close Encounters of the Third Kind was a huge hit. Now, this is again one of those movies that I think most people kind of just seen the end of that movie, but I've never actually watched this movie, and I kind of feel bad. I should watch it.
For me, it's like Christmas Story, where I know I've seen it, but like in parts.
Yeah, what order it all goes into.
I could not tell you.
Yeah. So obviously, it was a big hit. So obviously, the studio really wanted a sequel, but Spielberg didn't have any interest in that, and if you know the ending of that movie, it doesn't really make sense to do a sequel. It's nice and contained. So the compromise was to just make another sci-fi film, and so he developed an idea he called "Watch the Skies," based on a quote unquote news story. From 1955. Yeah. No, really. From 1955, when they just printed whatever the goddamn thing they felt like, about a Kentucky farm family one night that were terrorized by 3-foot green aliens.
3 feet.
Terrorized.
Yes.
Terrorized.
I mean, you have toddlers though, so you understand what that's like to be terrorized.
Yeah, but
by
they're
something.
scary for different reasons.
And so they take this idea, and he hires John Sayles to write the screenplay. And he just wrote Piranha, directed by Spielberg's friend and friend of the show, Joe Dante.
Oh, Joe Dante. We have a lot of friends of this show. It's hard to keep them all straight.
I was about to say Peter Sohn.
Yeah.
Peter Sohn? Wow, that guy was around back then?
Okay, so the screenplay becomes, they adjust it, and the screenplay becomes known as Night Skies. Same idea as the news story, but it's more of a dark comedy that really leans into the horror of these aliens doing really gruesome things, like to the family. So, and the whole movie is from the point of view of the little kids, and there are 5 aliens in the script. 4 of them are very evil, and the leader, Scar, being the most sadistic.
Fuck yeah.
Wait,
So like,
hold up a minute. You're describing
wait,
a whole
hold on.
different movie.
One of them is a kind alien nicknamed Buddy, and he befriends the kids. And at the end of the movie, the 4 evil ones leave Earth, and Buddy stays behind. Okay, so Spielberg was in the middle of making Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Mm-hmm. That's actually incidentally my favorite movie
Oh,
of all time.
nice.
Clint is wearing his.
I'm wearing my Indiana Jones fedora.
Yes.
With this, you've got the pin on there. It says Indiana Jones. It even says right in there on the inside of the brim. Indiana Jones.
So it doesn't belong to you. Got it.
I actually stole this from my son.
Will you please give Spielberg back his hat?
Yeah, I know, right? No,
Jeez.
I stole this fair and square.
Yeah, it was a whole thing. You had to roll down the hill, and it went going under a garage door, and you had to grab it underneath. So, and all of that action and the craziness of that movie made him really want to do a simpler, more personal film. But it never goes anywhere. Long story short, Night Skies just fails to materialize, and but it becomes a treasure trove of ideas for future Spielberg productions. 3-foot green creatures terrorizing a town.
Gremlins.
Directed
Yeah.
by Joe
Joe
Dante.
Dante. Okay.
Okay.
Scar becomes Stripe.
Yeah.
And early in the film, when he's walking through the town, you can see "Watch the Skies" on the marquee.
Oh my God.
Oh.
Yeah,
It's all coming together.
Is this like a shared universe with
Yeah.
like the Spielberg
Spielberg-verse. Yeah.
The SCU, the Spielberg Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So kids befriending an abandoned alien.
E.T.
E.T. Yes, that's the idea that Spielberg really liked. That's the one he really wanted to go with. And then a family home being tormented by an unknown identity.
Poltergeist.
Okay.
Oh, man. So they just took that one script and they were like, it's 3 movies now.
Yeah, right.
We'll make even more money.
Yes, and I think about all 3 of those movies are huge.
Yeah, I think that was probably the correct way to do it. It might have been a little bit too chaotic as all like one
Yeah,
film.
that is
Yeah,
a lot of
too much.
ideas.
As much
on
as I
the
love
go.
these 3 movies, because I actually really enjoyed Poltergeist, I kind of want to see Watch the Skies. Like, I want them to make it.
Someone to put those
Yeah.
together.
Hashtag release the Watch the Skies cut. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I breathed that into existence. That's going to be a thing now.
Okay, so Poltergeist. Spielberg is a big fan of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Fans here? No.
I don't think
Never
I've
seen it.
ever seen the original. Yeah.
It's good.
Okay.
It's loud. Like, you gotta not watch it with other people. But then you're watching a horror movie by yourself.
Wait, what do you mean loud? Like
The chainsaw, it's just like it's
okay, I see.
Just a lot of chainsaw noises.
yeah.
Just mostly chainsaw noises.
Yeah, it's-
Okay, so Texas Chainsaw was directed by Tobe Hooper. He made 2 more B horror slasher films after that, Eaten Alive and Funhouse. This is his wheelhouse, ironically. He loves like crazy horror films. And Spielberg initially offered it Hooper to direct Night Skies or Watch the Skies, but Hooper wasn't interested in aliens. He liked horrors of like humankind. So he gravitated to this family home idea. So when it was split in 3, he was like, "Oh, cool.
I'll take
the
that
part.
one."
Yeah, I'll take the part I want."
Yeah.
So Hooper had been actually toying with an idea of making a ghost story for a few years at that point. So he thought, why not combine his ideas with what Spielberg was offering? And Spielberg was like, love it. Great. Run with it. So they developed the story together, and while Spielberg was shooting Raiders. And they finished their treatment, and it's handed to Michael Gross and Mark Victor, given back to Spielberg, who ends up rewriting most of it. So you can see all 3 of their names in the credits, but it's kind of all Spielberg.
That's got to be depressing for those guys. We worked really hard on it.
Yeah. Jumping into the production, the rotating room set. This was the part where after the fake out,
Oh, right.
when the mom goes back up to her room and then she's like getting attacked. So she's sitting there like flying up on the ceilings and stuff like that. So they had to build the world's largest gimbal for the film. So this is essentially, they were trying to do a horror twist of Royal
Twist,
Wedding. Yeah. A twist.
Thank you for inviting me to the podcast. I need to leave.
Sorry we made you come all this way for these bad jokes.
Couldn't they just borrow the set from Lionel Richie's Dancing on the Ceiling music video?
So they'll
It was not a
that.
large enough gimbal. It was 2.
I don't even know when that song came out, so it was probably later.
Well, because Royal Wedding is when they first kind of did this. This is the movie where Fred Astaire dances on the ceiling.
Oh, okay.
So the part where he's kind of going back and forth, and he's on the wall, and then he's on the ceiling, and so that's like 1955 or something like that. Anyway, and so they were trying to do a horror twist on that. Lionel Richie was like, I want to do a music video twist of it. Yeah. But the scene in the script really pushes the idea of rape, and it has a lot of like when she gets like, it's the first moment that you notice something happens when she gets her
shirt
blown
Oh,
up or thrown
yeah.
upwards.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So you mean like the script, it was
In the
pushing
script,
the concept like a
There
very,
were
like,
invisible
rapey.
handprints
I
into
don't
her
like it.
face and body.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And they filmed some of this stuff, and they had to tone it down to get a PG rating. Again, this is before
yeah.
PG-13.
Right.
Yeah, okay. I had something I was going to say, but it's not in relation to this scene because that would make me sound like a really horrible person. But I was going to say I wanted them to like push it farther so it could be rated R. but not in that context.
Right.
That is not
in
okay.
a different way. Rated R in a different way.
Yeah.
I wanted like the nerdy guys that came to help the doctor. I like wanted like somebody to get
die horrifically.
Yeah.
Well, like the scene where the one guy's like ripping into his face
off.
and you're like, oh my god, and then he's like, whoa, and then it's not
yeah,
real, and
it's
you're like,
okay.
oh, well, now I'm just bummed out that guy's face didn't get ripped off.
Kind of to make make it more dire, right?
Yeah. That's what you get for trying to steal other people's steak. Yeah. Come into somebody's house, you try to steal their steak.
I have so many things to say about. I was like, during that scene, I was just like, what did he just pull out of the fridge? A whole ass steak? He's going to pan fry a steak at 2
right
a.m.?
now?
What is he doing? What's happening right now? That is not a midnight snack. And then also he was like just eating a chicken wing? I don't know.
Cold
I was-
out of the fridge.
That guy.
That man
Chicken
is a
wing.
monster.
He's a monster. He's the true villain.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, the face peeling scene. So as you guys keenly wanted to point out that it was a prosthetic.
We didn't want to point it out. It was pretty glaring.
Yeah.
It's very obvious.
This is right there.
Like when it just is like quick cut to like the black and then to bring it back to his prosthetic face, like that's not the same person.
Yeah, that's his old dying grandpa. So the prosthetic was so expensive, regardless of quality, and they only had one. And Martin
shit.
Casella, who played Marty, the guy that was turned into a wax museum. Anyway, he chickened out and he didn't want to do the peeling of the face.
What?
Because he was like, it's so expensive. Like, I don't want to fuck this up.
I wouldn't even care. I'd be like, how much does it cost? I don't care. I'm doing it. I am ripping my fucking face off.
Okay. So, and I mean, like, legitimately, like, it's actually really cool, even though it does, like, that first shot does look really fake, if they could have blended that a little bit better. But that part's pretty fucked up.
It's
Yeah.
messed up.
And like, just the layers you see that they go through, and,
Like
and
the
he gets to
pink
his.
jello that's hitting the sink.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Oh my god. So he chickened out, and those are actually Spielberg's hands doing it.
Yeah,
So-
there you go. So then if something does fuck up, it's like he's the boss.
yeah, exactly.
He's like, I'm already on the hook for all this bullshit, so
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
rip the face. It's fine. So
That's amazing.
Making that scene had more stakes than like this whole movie, basically.
Yeah. A lot riding on this kid. You sure you want to do it? No, you do it. Fuck you. Now, the clown mechanic, or the machine that, like, when it jumps out and grabs Robbie.
The scariest part of the whole movie. to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, a scene that did not happen until after the fake out ending.
Right.
And I was kind of going like, I have a lot to discuss here. So it's the part where, what is it? He like opened the, I don't remember.
The clown.
No,
But
he's
he's
like,
in bed.
and he hears it, and he hears like
and he
little
looks
like creepy
up
feet.
at the chair, and the chair is empty.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then he looks under the bed, and it's not under the bed. And then
that's
he's
right.
yeah. And then when he
Sits up.
Yeah, it's behind him. And it grabs him.
Yeah.
And it,
Yeah.
so, but it like puts him into like a chokehold, right?
Like wraps his like rubber
Yeah.
band arm around his neck.
Yeah. Okay. So the mechanic of that arm was set too high, and it starts strangling the kid.
Oh my god.
And he starts screaming, "I can't breathe! I can't breathe!"
Oh my
and
God.
Spielberg and Hooper just assumed he was acting.
Oh no.
They're just like, this is great. This kid is the best actor I've ever seen.
so
wow.
good at going turning blue.
He's just look at this. He is.
He
This
can
is
hold his
method
breath.
acting. This is a child method
Yes.
actor. He's into it.
He's the Daniel Day-Lewis of his kind, of his age.
Of his age. Oh my God, that
Yeah,
poor kid.
that
He was
poor
probably
kid.
fucking traumatized.
Yeah.
Just a random fun fact I love. That part in the kitchen where the mom walks from the kitchen table to the sink and then goes back and all the chairs are on the table. Like that time frame is so small, but like on set it was like loud as fuck because there was like all these people running and grabbing all the chairs, like, and then they just like had to put a prop that was like all the chairs like glued together.
So, how much time did they have to set up those chairs?
Well, I imagine whatever they put on top was just like
Probably
probably
one
all
piece.
glued together.
Oh,
so
yeah,
they just
a
like
glued
glued
thing of chairs.
But all the other individual chairs around the table they had to get and pull out.
Move 'em,
all-
yeah.
get them off the scene.
They just
So-
had like one person per chair, like ready.
yeah, exactly. And then you just like
It's like a basketball game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Okay, so speaking of fake out endings, Poltergeist filmed for 12 weeks, finished in the first week of August. Initial budget was $9.5 million. Final was $10.7 million. And that's all that really happened on set.
There was no other shenanigans?
So,
This was a semi shit show.
yeah,
Jeez.
just a
Little
That sounds like
this
just
is
a
a
little
poop
shit.
show.
That sounds like a breeze.
Yeah.
A shart.
It was a
Shart show.
It was a little,
Oh my God.
it was a little nugget.
So why do you think Poltergeist was a shit show? And does anybody actually know?
I think I actually know, but I'll let you guys
guys go.
guess first.
I have no idea.
I don't.
There's a very classic, very folklore about this film.
I do no research. I just show up and expect you to tell me.
Yeah, same. Sometimes I don't even watch the movie. That was only once. That was once, and I'd already seen it, so it was okay.
We'll never let him live it down.
I don't let myself live it down. I come in and like, guys, I'm sorry I didn't watch Blues Brothers again. One of my favorite movies. I'm
Exactly.
sorry.
No, that's why I'm here today, is because you didn't watch Blues Brothers. So
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah,
that's
this
why
is-
we're
she's like,
going
yeah,
through the
right.
audition process.
Right.
Yeah. I came super prepared.
So everything revolves around one question. Do you know what that question is?
Who actually directed this movie?
That is correct. So this film was absolutely something Spielberg wanted to make. After all, he was the writer and a producer. But because he was in pre-production for E.T., per Universal's contract, he wasn't allowed to direct anything else. So E.T. was set to film in September of 1981, and apparently Spielberg had a lot of time on his hands because he was on set for Poltergeist all but for 3 days.
It's like I'm not directing this movie except for that you should stand over there. But I'm not directing this movie.
Contractually not doing it.
Hey, Toby, shouldn't that person be standing over there?
So I wonder, Toby, if they delivered the line like this.
Okay, so because of Spielberg's intense involvement, reports leak to the press that Spielberg is actually the director, not Tobe Hooper. So he's going around his contract.
I mean, until like recently, I was assumed it was Spielberg.
Okay.
Well, you said that when we watched the movie. You were like, "Oh, this was directed by Spielberg," and then it was like directed by Tobe
Tobe
Hooper,
Hooper,
and you were like, "Wait, what the fuck?"
Yeah.
Yes.
I was
Okay.
watching this movie with my boyfriend, and he was like, "Oh, that's weird. They spelled Steven Spielberg wrong."
Like, really wrong.
Like,
It's not even an
yeah,
anagram.
not even in the ballpark.
But the leak was possibly by MGM because they wanted to be like, hey, Spielberg's directing a movie for
Right.
us because he was the golden boy at that time. And
That's
so
the
So
draw.
he was contractually obligated to Universal, and per his contract, Universal was like, you can't make another movie at the same time you're making one
Yes.
for us for another studio.
yes, exactly.
Oh, okay. So MGM was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
And so they
But what if
kind of leaned into it.
what if let's just say hypothetically Universal was making Poltergeist? Would that be okay? Since they're both for Universal? I mean, we have to read his contract.
I would imagine. I don't know.
Okay.
But back then, studios were very fiercely against each other.
Gotcha.
so
Gotcha. Okay.
But the other movie he was making was E.T.
He was in pre-production.
Oh,
so
okay.
they were just setting up, like, designing sets, that kind of stuff.
So he's like, "Oh, I'm so bored."
yeah, exactly. Right.
yeah. I was like, I already know what ET looks like.
yeah, yeah. So one day, the LA Times decides to visit the set. Hooper is in the backyard filming a scene with them burying the bird.
Tweety.
Tweety, yes, the bird.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Spielberg is in the front yard filming Second Unit. Now, for those who don't know, Second Unit essentially is filming stuff that you don't need the actors for. It could be establishing shots of the house. It could be, a lot of the times it's action scenes, helicopter shots, crowd shots, people in a fight, just the middle of a fight, in the middle of a war movie. It's generally just, they don't need the director to be there because it's just easy stuff to get.
But they have a second unit director who's been
second unit directors.
christened by the director.
Yeah,
to
exactly.
do it. I don't know.
Yes.
I dubbed
Holy
the second
water.
unit.
Yeah. I don't know the rituals. Okay.
So, like Andy Serkis did Second Unit for the Hobbit trilogy. Anyway, so Spielberg's just in the front yard filming like kids going by or like filming the house or whatever.
The guy dropping the beer.
Yeah, yeah, or something like stuff like that. The reporter pulls up at the house, and who does he see directing?
Right.
Right.
Oh.
Drama.
So LA Times runs with the idea that Spielberg is actually shadow directing the film. And when asked for comment, producer Frank Marshall says the creative force of the movie was Steven. Tobe was the director and was on set every day, but Steven did the design for every storyboard. Hooper sees this story.
Oh, shit.
And is like perplexed by this. He's like, what the hell? And because he and Spielberg did the storyboards together. So they storyboarded the whole film together. And so he's like, why did I just get thrown under the bus right there?
Yeah.
Yeah, they like melded their ideas together. Like it was a creative process by both of them.
Yeah, exactly.
But Steven Spielberg, that's the name draw. That's
Exactly.
what people want to see.
Yeah, because Hooper made the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which was more known for how gory it was and like kind of it changed cinema of how violent movies could be for mainstream audiences. And then his other two films nobody even really saw. So, and then you have Spielberg, this super director. So after the film was done, Craig T. Nelson says he heard a rumor that Hooper had been kicked out of the editing room. And now Hooper goes again. He's like, no, this is false. He's like, I spent 10 weeks in the editing the film. However, Spielberg did take it from there. He did the final edit, did the sound, and worked on the special effects. And Hooper says there are very little differences between his cut and Spielberg's final one.
Except for Spielberg took out all of the chainsaw noises that he had in
yeah,
there.
yeah.
It was,
This doesn't make any sense, man.
He's just like, my favorite composer is a chainsaw musician. It's just his work is mind blowing.
Exactly.
The clown's laugh was actually.
Tobe, you can't with the chainsaws in every single movie.
Rein this in.
He's got him decorating his walls. Like, oh.
I don't feel like you should. You would go total Nolan with it. I don't think you feel like you should hear the dialogue. You should just constantly hear chainsaw noises.
You should be straining to understand what's happening all the time through this shitty sound mix. Christopher, we're talking to you.
Yeah, but give us money.
He knows what he did.
He
That's
does.
what he did.
He knows I had to turn on subtitles to watch fucking Tenet.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Okay. MGM sets the release date of Poltergeist for June 4th, 1982. This is 1 week before E.T., the extraterrestrial. So the press starts calling this the Spielberg Summer. And Spielberg really leans into this doing the press because he's like, yeah, I'm the golden boy, right? Yeah. So this is very much Spielberg's cocky days. Okay, so here's our first quote. And Sequoia, since you are our guest, we're going to have you be Spielberg.
It's nice that I can release two sides of my personality in 1982, so close to each other. Poltergeist is what I fear. E.T. is what I love.
What?
Okay, so basically he's just like, these are my two films. Not saying anything about Hooper, right? Nope. And that this doesn't help the narrative that Spielberg didn't direct Poltergeist, right? And when straight up asked about this controversy, this is what Spielberg said.
Tobe isn't a take charge sort of guy. If a question was asked and an answer wasn't immediately forthcoming, I'd jump in and say what we could do. Tobe would nod in agreement, and that became the process of collaboration.
Fuck you, Steven. Oh my God, that's so annoying. I'm so annoyed.
Right?
Oh my God.
Just like, this is,
I'm triggered. I'm so triggered right now.
That quote itself just like really colors my my vision of Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
Again, I think it's just like he was just coming off of these hit after hit, and he was just really cocky, and he was just a little young, and he just thought he was just the bee's knees. and really he was ruling Hollywood, so why not?
Yeah,
right?
he's John Travolta strutting down the street in Saturday Night Fever. He's
yeah. But he keeps using this phrase, he designed the film. Like he doesn't
because he can't say directed.
Exactly.
So he's being very like annoyingly careful. I designed it.
And to continue,
designer is a different credit in the
yeah. And the production designer's like, what the fuck,
Yeah.
dude? I
designed
also
it all.
designed this film.
I don't see you up late at night making a giant paper mache ghost head to come out of the wall.
Yeah, exactly.
You son of a bitch.
I don't see you mixing fucking poltergeist guts in a jar.
Yeah,
you piece of shit.
making a shitty looking but really expensive
Yeah.
prosthetic.
All you did was come in and rip it off.
Yeah.
I didn't see you spending 2 weeks making pink jello
Yeah.
so that we could put this movie together.
I dug that hole for the pool.
Yeah. With my bare hand.
My hand. They didn't even give me a shovel.
Okay.
You can't even tell when a kid is being strangled.
I mean,
Oh my god.
to be fair though, that person probably also made that
The
strangulating clown doll as well. So
He's just like, oh.
that's because I was up late making all that jello. I didn't have time to calibrate the strangle.
No, that's why he just constantly dials it back. He goes. People are like, "Oh, this strangled a kid." Yeah, I didn't design that.
That wasn't me.
I did all
That was
stuff.
Toby again.
Yeah. Okay. So speaking of Tobe Hooper, when Hooper is asked the same question about this directing controversy,
That question isn't good for business.
Sir, explain yourself. Sir, what?
Just why don't you ask Spielberg about it?
It's not good for business.
okay. So
That's-
right.
that's
Good for
Spielberg.
the business
That's
of being Tobe Hooper.
Yeah.
That sounds very like Coppola. It's like,
Yeah.
That sounds
feel-
very Godfather.
It
He's
sounds
like,
like he was given some hush money. It's
Okay.
like, Toby, don't talk about
oh
it.
yeah, I was like, that's
Okay.
not good for
Yeah.
business.
All right,
Like,
so Spielberg obviously can't say he actually directed the film because for one, it throws Hooper under the bus, and second, it proves he was in breach of contract with Universal.
Right.
Right? And then Hooper can't say anything because this film was his big break, and he sure as hell wouldn't want to piss off the one guy who was rapidly becoming the most powerful person in Hollywood.
Right, yeah.
And especially if Spielberg truly did direct it, right? So it's like his big break, but I don't want to like shoot myself in the foot for this shit.
Right. So he had to be very careful.
Yeah.
That kind of sucks for Tobe Hooper, but
Right?
I get it, I guess.
Yeah.
well, it really kind of does because other than Texas Chainsaw, in this movie, what else has Tobe Hooper done?
We'll get into that in a second. But so insult to injury.
He's directed everything Steven Spielberg has directed, actually. You just didn't know.
Yeah.
He's
But
always
for
there.
all for all like the shit movies that Spielberg has
Yeah,
done.
yeah,
It's just
yeah.
like, oh yeah,
I did Hoop.
AI was Hooper.
Yeah, and I did
That was him.
Hook.
I designed. I helped design the film.
That one part about that one movie that I did was really good, but you didn't like. That was him.
Yeah.
He was actually behind everything about Crystal Skull. I mean,
yeah, that was his fault.
That was his whole idea. I just had nothing. I didn't want anything to do with it.
he's just gonna be in a movie called Under the Bus. That's just starring Tobe Hooper.
Under the Bus, the Tobe Hooper story.
Directed by Steven Spielberg.
What a fuck you.
All right. Insult to injury. MGM's marketing team just hammers Spielberg's name over everything. So when you see it, when you see a TV ad, it's like Spielberg presents, like that kind of thing. And so it's just like MGM just really wanted to be in the Spielberg business.
I hate that because it gets so confusing. To this day, I still run into people who's like, "Oh yeah, I love Nightmare Before Christmas. It's one of my favorite Tim Burton movies."
Tim Burton.
not a Tim
Not
Burton.
Like, yo,
Tim
bro,
Burton.
like
Yeah.
it's like it's his story,
Yeah.
and it's like his design.
No love for
his
Henry
aesthetic.
Selick.
yeah, but he did not direct it.
Yeah. So all of this starts getting obviously really out of hand, to the point that the Directors Guild of America gets involved.
Oh,
they,
shit.
They open an investigation into, quote, whether or not Hooper's official credit was being denigrated by statements Spielberg has made claiming authorship.
Do they have like a barometer for that? Like, how does that?
Yeah, right. Like, what level?
Yeah.
So they determined that MGM should have put a stop to this from the beginning. They should have just stopped doing what they were doing, and they forced them to compensate Hooper an additional $15,000.
Nice. You could buy so many chainsaws with that.
Just the solid gold chainsaws for days.
Look, if I was Hooper and I was still getting some of that chainsaw money, like after royalties and stuff, I would 100% buy a solid gold or a gold-plated chainsaw.
The world's longest chainsaw.
That'd be amazing.
Fun fact: he is now known for having the world's largest chainsaw collection. Actually,
That'd be so
Yeah.
cool.
including the solid gold.
He just travels the country looking for chainsaws.
Okay, so either because of the DGA ruling or out of the kindness of his heart, Spielberg publishes an open letter
I'm sure
to
it was
Hooper.
the first one.
So he publishes an open letter to Hooper before the film's release.
Regrettably, some of the press has misunderstood the rather unique creative relationship which you and I shared throughout the making of Poltergeist. I enjoyed your openness in allowing me, as a writer and producer, a wide berth for creative involvement, just as I know you were happy with the freedom you had to direct Poltergeist so wonderfully.
Oh my god! I'm even more annoyed by that. That's a non-apology apology.
Oh,
Like that is
absolutely.
such a like. I hate it.
Feels a little gaslighty.
Gross.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
1,000%. Or he's just like, I know you felt
Yeah.
I know
this
exactly
way.
how you
Don't
feel.
fucking tell me how I feel, Spielberg. You piece of shit. I almost forgot his name.
Yeah.
So mad I forgot one of the famous directors on the planet.
I mean, it's a shitty thing to do. Raiders is still my favorite movie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, to say that the press misunderstood the thing that you said
Yeah.
is not an apology at all.
Yeah.
And that's super gaslighty.
So Hooper compares his relationship to Spielberg the same way that Spielberg and George Lucas had on Raiders. And so this is what he had to say.
I thought at the time it was one of the best working relationships I've ever been a producer and a director. Oh, sorry, I fucked that up. Okay, geez, Sequoia, you're in.
Thank you. I'll
right,
put
I'll-
the hat on.
Yeah, you take the hat.
I'll just go home. We'll see you guys later. All right, I got this. I'm a professional. I thought at the time it was one of the best working relationships I have ever had between a producer and a director, and all this was news to me. It came to my attention just a few days before the picture was released. I think it's really a shame. It's been personally damaging, and it certainly knocked me out of the competition for the Academy Awards this year. It's a tough business. And it's bad for business.
Yeah, he's right. Like, it's personally damaging for him personally. He's saying that like someone else took his film, just like the fact that we'll get into in a little while, but about whether or not if he got blackballed in Hollywood for
because
this, right?
Even if he was not blackballed, other studios are going to see this and be like, he can't do it on his own.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
He needs someone there to hold his hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's clearly something wrong there.
Well, especially from that first quote where he's like, he's not a take charge kind of guy. That's literally the one thing a director has to do is take charge.
Exactly.
That's your whole job.
So once the movie came out, the dichotomy of bright suburban life with dark horror gave the credence to two directors' competing visions, even though that's the point of the movie. But having watched this the other night, and it is very apparent that there are some very clear Spielberg-isms in that. And one of the biggest is what they call the Spielberg face, which is almost every one of his movies you can see people, like the camera just slowly pushing in on them as they're kind of like looking in shock and awe at something. Whether they're looking at a T-Rex or seeing something horrific. Like it's always just this very slow shot moving onto their face and they're just like, oh. Like,
Right.
And That happens a lot in this movie, and there are a lot of shots in there that seem so Spielberg to me. And I was kind of like, as I was watching, I was like, no, he definitely shot that shit. Like those particular moments.
I'll take this one in second unit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll give me all the primary actors over here at second
Yeah.
unit. I will, yeah.
I'm going to do a lot of really important close-ups that determine the character of the film. So
No dialogue.
don't worry about it, though. Second unit.
The
So what
second
was-
unit director. Like, was there a second unit director? I should have checked in the credits.
Oh, yeah. That's a good question.
It's an
I don't know.
anagram
That's
for
yet another person who's like,
Yeah.
come on, man.
I'm just trying to become the world's best second unit director over here.
Okay, so Poltergeist was number 8 of 1982. Guess what number 1 was?
E.T.
Was it
E.T.?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Poltergeist made 121 million worldwide on that budget of only 10 million. So it was absolutely a big hit. On the other side, E.T. made 619 million, becoming the highest grossing film of all time, and maintained that title for 11 years until what film in 93?
Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park.
Another Spielberg
Spielberg
movie.
movie.
Well, it's just
That
like-
is why he is the golden boy.
Yeah. Just let Toby have this one. Come on.
Yeah.
It's like
you have
it's like
enough.
an older brother who just like gets all the accolades and everything. Just let him have his little,
Yeah.
$9-10 million movie or whatever.
It's funny that you say that. So hold on to that thought.
Okay.
Okay.
Holding on
Here
to
is a list of all the different people that have spoken about the film and their experience actually filming it. In 2007, Zelda Rubinstein said this. She plays Tangina. She's that
Tangina.
very small lady.
Yeah, the
towards the end.
the medium.
Yes.
Yes.
I can tell you that Steven directed all 6 days I was there. I only worked 6 days on the film, and Steven was there. Toby set up the shots, and Steven made the adjustments. You're not going to hear that from Tobe Hooper. You'll hear it from Zelda, because that was my honest-to-God experience. I am not a fan of Tobe Hooper.
Ooh. That's so spicy.
So spicy for such a small lady.
Her character, I think, is very much. I don't remember from anything else I've seen, but like her character seems very much just her, where she just doesn't take any shit.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
came on. Yeah. Okay. In 2012, Oliver Robbins, who played Robbie, said all he remembers was Hooper directing him. So, but he was just a kid. But that the script was so detailed that it read like a shot list. So it would be impossible for it not to seem like a Spielberg movie. Now, Martin Casella, who plays Marty, the one that rips off his face,
Rip guy.
said his first day, Hooper would call action, Spielberg would call cut. And between takes, sometimes Hooper would give notes and other times Spielberg would. And about a few minutes into this, Beatrice Straight, who plays Dr. Lesh, the first
The parapsychologist.
parapsychologist that comes in, said, knock it off, one director, please. And from that point, for him, it was Hooper.
Oh, like she was just like, this is confusing. We
Yeah.
can't
Exactly.
deal with like
Just, yeah.
because who's the boss here? It's like
Yeah.
too many cooks.
Exactly.
Yeah, that would be really annoying as an actor. You're
Oh,
just
that would
like,
be awful.
but he said to do this, but not.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
what,
exactly.
Like who's
Spielberg
in
told me to
charge?
just look in shock and awe.
Yeah.
Toby told me to say lines.
Although, like, I'm sure in that situation, though, if Tobe Hooper came over and was like, here's my note, and then, like, walked off all confident, like, yeah, I'm directing. And then if Steven came over and was like, hey, so about that note he just did, I'm going to have you do the exact opposite. Like, who the hell are you going to listen to? You're going to
Yeah.
listen to Steven.
Yeah, and they're
Yeah.
both. Yeah, and they're. And as you're a kid or whoever, like they're just like, oh God, like who's my
Yeah.
boss
Yeah.
in this
Right.
scenario?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, who the fuck?
I'm literally 5 years old.
yeah,
Who's my boss?
Wait, why is my mom not giving me these notes?
Yeah.
Just listen to the man. Which one? Okay. Okay. So James Karen, who plays Mr. Teague, who didn't move the graves.
Oh, yeah. The boss.
The boss.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is Clint. Will you be James? This is what he had to say.
Tobe had a hard time on that film. It's tough when the producer is on set every day, and there's always been a lot of talk about that. I consider Tobe my director. That's my stand on all those rumors. We don't always have to laud Spielberg for Poltergeist because Spielberg had every laud in the world, and rightly so.
So like what you were saying,
Yeah.
we just give Toby this. Like we don't need to give Spielberg.
Let him have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The man did Duel.
Yeah, of all the things. But then, like, I can't. Is he in only like 2 scenes?
Yeah, he's talking to
Teague?
Mr. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
talking
Next
to
to the graveyard.
Yep.
And then
yeah,
when he
don't worry, we'll
confronts
move all
him-
of them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then when
And then at the end, when the house is going like all crazy, and then Craig T. Nelson has the best line of all time.
Yeah.
You bastard! You didn't move the bodies!
my one regret from after watching that movie, is when the house finally implodes on itself, that it didn't quote Bart from the Treehouse of Horror episode of the same stuff happens. Where he goes, bitchin'! That's my one regret, is I didn't say that line when the house imploded on itself.
Were you just like waiting for it the whole time?
I really was.
And you like look down right when it happens. Ah, fuck!
I missed it.
Well, even when I did see it happen, it was like, this is like in that Treehouse of Horror episode. And then afterwards, I thought about it, I was like, oh, missed opportunity. I could have made you
It would-
fuckers laugh.
It would literally have been only a joke that probably Ian understood.
I know.
Yeah, probably.
Listen, if I can get just Ian to laugh, like that makes my night.
Well, it's becoming less and less lately. And
But you know who's really funny?
Yeah.
Sequoia.
This is a really good running gag, and that's all that it is. All right, Mark, I need
I
this.
mean, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Okay, so in 2017, John Leonetti was assistant camera, and his brother, Matt, was director of photography.
Are we sure he was? Was it not Spielberg?
Yeah. Will you give this
Spielberg's
to
just
Jenny
like, I
Ray?
did this whole movie.
You are John, the assistant cameraman.
Candidly, Steven Spielberg directed that movie. There's no question. Hooper was so nice and just happy to be there. Oh my God, this is so sad. Hooper was so nice and just happy to be there. He creatively had input. Steven developed the movie and it was his to direct, except there was anticipation of a director's strike. So he was, quote, the producer, but really he directed it in case there was going to be a strike, and Tobe was cool with that. It wasn't anything against Tobe. Every once in a while, he would actually leave the set and let Tobe do a few things just because. But really, Steven directed it. Oh my God, that's the saddest thing I've ever read. It's just like, hey, I'm gonna go to the grocery store. Don't fuck this up while I'm gone, okay? You got this? You got this?
I need to go run and grab a coffee, but you can do the scene where they bury Tweety.
Do you want to do that scene? Yeah. It's real easy. They just have to have a little girl be sad about her dead pet. I made sure that the whole script is just a line by line shot list of every single thing you need
I
to
drew
do.
out every single frame of this movie for you to do.
It's a flip
In a
book.
flip book. You're just like, wait, what is this supposed to be again? Oh, yeah, okay.
We had a lot in our budget for Post-its.
Oh, my God. Oh, poor Toby.
So,
Wow.
till his death in 2017, Hooper continually did interviews where people asked him this question. It just never died. And each time he was asked, he seemed super annoyed, probably because he was being asked yet again, or that it just really hit to him. Like it just really got to him in some way. And to him, all the controversy was because of that, because LA Times showed up when Spielberg was in the front shooting in the front yard.
Wrong place, wrong time.
Wrong place, wrong time. And it's just taken a life on its own. Whatever his experience was, Hooper never made a big studio movie ever again. After that, he did Life Force, which is kind of a huge cult classic. He did a lot for.
Oh my God, did they do that on How Did This Get Made?
Yeah, he did a lot of
I wanna
canon
watch
films.
that one.
He did a lot of canon films.
That's a legacy all on its own.
Yeah.
That's a whole other type of legacy.
One movie that he really likes terrifying people, and one movie that did terrify me as a kid, and I remember all of it very vividly, was Invaders from Mars. If everybody's seen that one, it's one where they like there's a Mars that crash lands and then they start kind of taking over the people in the town. And the way you can tell is they have a Band-Aid on their neck and they just start taking over everyone. And this kid in himself. And then he gets into the spaceship and there's just these really fucking insane practical monsters in it. And it just terrified me as a kid. Like part of that movie, I don't know if I dreamt it was my nightmare afterwards. Like,
Nice.
And then he did Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. And just Night Terrors, Body Bags, The Mangler, Crocodile.
So he went on to have a healthy B movie
Yeah.
career.
Yeah, all B movies. But yeah, so he kind of, I don't know if it was just because he preferred doing that, or it was just because that experience was so terrible. He was kind of like, I don't want fuck studios.
Yeah.
Like I can continue doing the kind of crazy stuff that I can do that I'm good at, and without the hassle of dealing with these giant egos and all the money that comes with studio films.
Right. Or it's like you said, and people wouldn't hire him after because they're like, he's completely incompetent. He can't direct.
He could have
also.
been blackballed.
Yeah,
Who knows? So Spielberg has since said Poltergeist was a teachable moment.
If I write it myself, I'll direct it myself. I won't put someone else through what I put Tobe through, and I'll be more honest in my contributions to a film.
So kind of an apology.
It's not.
Definitely an admittance of guilt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it wasn't even like, yeah, I kind of did Tobe a little dirty on that one. He was just like, I'll communicate better going forward, which is like a standard like bullshit thing you say in like job situations.
Right.
Poltergeist led to 2 sequels. Poltergeist 2, The Other Side in 1986, and Poltergeist 3 in 1988.
The other side.
Yeah.
So just back
here.
to the regular side?
The side.
Just here again.
The side.
Okay.
Spielberg and Hooper had nothing to do with these films. Okay.
But MGM did, though, right? I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Milk that, right?
They weren't trying to be like, oh, Steven also directed these 2. He's
Yeah.
like, no, those are hot piles of garbage. Don't
Yeah.
attach my name to that shit.
Hooper did them.
Yeah. It's like, hey, wait a minute.
So lastly, the other big question about this film that people always say, and there's just really nothing behind it, was this film cursed? And were the other films also cursed? And this has been this urban myth that kind of goes around all about these films, because there have been all the leads in the films have died mysteriously. And then, okay, but the origin of all of this was whether or not they used real human skeletons in the film, principally for the pool scene when they all come popping up.
Yeah, I think I have heard of this actually.
This is true.
Awesome.
So,
Wait, whoa, what?
per the prop department, back then it was easier to buy skeletons from a medical supply company
Holy shit.
than to make fake ones. So why go through all the work of sitting there doing molding and whatnot
Yeah.
when you can just go, oh, pile of bones for $100, whatever it was.
This is method prop design. This is method prop design.
Now, my question is it still easy to get?
Clint's like, how do I get a human skeleton? Hey Siri, how do I get human bones delivered to my house?
Gives you the address to the police station.
I mean, I don't want to acquire them. I don't want to like source them myself. I just want to see if somebody can sell me some.
I imagine there's probably a lot more, rules.
Through the university, I'm sure we could figure it out.
We probably could.
Yeah.
That's crazy though. But those people didn't donate their bodies to movies. They donated their bodies to science. That's not a thing you can like check on your.
I would
driver's license.
100% check that box for my own body.
Yeah.
If I can be a ghost that pops out of an unfinished pool that scares Craig T. Nelson, and after I'm dead, I'm in.
You've lived a good.
The moment you die, you're like, do you want to do a scene where you just rip off my face? Like,
Just
as soon as I die, you can use it.
Yeah, like just use my face. Like,
Just use my real face.
yeah.
Okay, so outside of that, no one was really hurt on the film other than the kid kind of being strangled. And no one died. And there were no weird accidents or mysteries, nothing like some random fires or anything like that. None of that happened. Several cast and crew from all three have died, but most of them were of random or natural causes, mostly cancers. And with the older folk, I mean, these movies are 40 years old now. And
Right. So like someone dies of like a ripe old age at 80 and they're like,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
movies are
It was the curse.
Yeah, exactly. So like Zelda, she had a heart attack, but she kind of never really recovered from it. So she died when she was 76. Dr. Lesh, she developed dementia, and then so she died almost 30 years after the film. So it's just kind of this.
Those don't feel very curse worthy.
Yeah,
They're just
exactly.
like
There's no
people living
correlation
their
between
life.
Poltergeist and
Yeah.
dementia.
Yeah.
My grandmother died of dementia. I'm pretty sure she never saw Poltergeist.
Yeah. Okay. However, two of them are quite sad and sudden. So Dominique Dunn, who played Dana, the older sister, she died 5 months after the film's release.
Oh my God.
When her boyfriend, John Sweeney, choked her into a coma, and she died 4 days later.
Jesus Christ.
That is horrifying.
Sweeney was convicted, but only served 3.5 years in prison.
Wow.
What
Fuck
a
that.
piece of shit.
Okay.
Where's that guy's poltergeist justice?
Yeah, right? Right.
That guy needs to get poltergeisted. How old was she? That's so sad. Because she wasn't very old when they made that movie. Like,
She was playing a 16-year-old, so she was probably somewhere between 16 and like 25.
yeah.
But
So she was 34,
yeah.
based on how they do things in movies.
exactly.
22. She was 22.
Me too.
It's so
It's
tragic.
very sad.
Okay, now the much sadder one. Heather O'Rourke, who played Carol Ann. She was diagnosed with Crohn's disease, and she's in all three of the films. And near the end of finishing the third film, she had a bowel obstruction that made its way into her bloodstream, and she had like cardiac arrest. They had to take her to a hospital. They kind of like cleaned her up, and then she had another one, and then she died of septic shock at the age of 12.
Oh, that's so sad.
Oh,
So, yeah. So those two are pretty fucked up, but I don't
Tragic.
think it goes exactly into a curse.
Yeah.
no.
Okay, Poltergeist. Was it worth it?
I guess I'll start us off. I feel like yes, because I do think it's a good movie. Like I feel like there's a lot of like legitimately kind of cool scares in there. A lot of the effects are pretty cool. There's good, like I think the kids all did a good job. Like that middle kid, Robbie, crushed it. That kid was so good, but I feel bad for Tobe Hooper. Obviously, he would have a very different answer than
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, I think I agree. But again, with Robbie, though, like it's not hard to be scared when you're being eaten by a tree. Like,
or a clown man.
yeah,
Like,
strangling you
Yeah.
literally.
Actually.
Yeah.
Fucking clown.
No, I agree. I'm surprised it's taking me this long to see it. I mean, I'm in my mid to late 30s, and this is the first time I've seen this movie. But it was kind of fun because I didn't really know what to expect going into it. I didn't know what kind of scary movie it was going to be, and I was pleasantly surprised. There is that part of me though who's like so ingrained with like, yeah, I want to see someone get stabbed in the face, you know. Like, I was like
fucked up.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, exactly. And so when I watched this, I was like, I didn't know what to expect, but I knew I wasn't going to be seeing that sort of violence or horror stuff. There was some like legitimate, like it was that chair scene where like it was that quick jump, and I was like, whoa, my God, that was cool,
Slick.
because you know it was practical.
Yeah.
You know? So I was pleasantly surprised with a lot of the effects and how well they still hold up today. Like that giant face that came out of the
really,
door.
That creepy Muppet.
Yeah,
That was pretty scary.
that was cool stuff. But yeah, I did like. I think it was worth it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think it was worth it. I've seen it, as I said, several times in the last year because I genuinely enjoy it. I think it's really good. As far as like what it did to Tobe Hooper as a person, really not cool.
Yeah.
Really not cool stuff there. But yeah, I really like this movie. I think it's really well done, and it has its scary moments. And even the special effects that didn't age
Oh,
like
that, like
super
the light
well,
bulb, the lamp like screwing itself into the shade.
Yeah.
You're like, "Ugh."
they're still really fun. They're still really fun.
Yeah.
And also that like him peeling away his face, even though it looks fake, it still grosses me out
Yeah,
pretty
it's
hard.
still cool.
Super gross.
Yeah.
The steak too. The steak like on
yeah.
the table. That's
Never
gross
went
as
back
hell.
to that. Okay, so for me, there's some legit cool shit in this movie.
Yeah.
Like I was kind of like impressed. The whole part until the lampshade shit. Where the kids were being sucked into the fucking
The closet?
the closet,
Yeah.
and the girls holding on to the bed post, and it's just ripping her away. Like holy shit! And her in general, like the stuff that she was involved in was just so fucking insane. And yeah, there are some good jumps in there, and then there is stuff that's just really stupid. And for me, I was sitting there kind of going, I was looking back on it and going, I don't know anything about these people. Like, why are their house? So if it's all the graves have been moved, why is it just their house that's being cursed?
Right.
But then there's like the parents in it are just fucking weird. We were joking about, oh, these are most realistic
yeah.
parents when they're getting high.
So, well, okay. So, like, when the movie first started, and there was that scene where they're in the bedroom, and they're smoking pot, and they're just kind of like, haha, just like having, just like
Reading their Reaganomics books.
yeah, just whatever, hanging out. I'm like, you know what? This is actually, I kind of like this portrayal of like a married couple because it feels really real, where they're just like, they're still kind of like having fun, like still trying to be kind of, they're still young, they have young kids. And then they were kind of cute. They had a couple like cute little like lovey-dovey moments. But then as the movie went on, I was like, no, these people are the worst parents of all time. These people are the fucking worst parents.
I mean, if
Oh
there's
my
any
God.
lesson that I learned from that is that if my house is ever going to be poltergeisted, is I just got to be high.
Yeah. Well, clearly the moms stay at high because throughout the movie there's the time jump after the daughter disappears where Craig T. Nelson looks fucking sleep deprived and like ready to
He's
die.
destroyed.
And the mom hasn't changed a bit and she's very cheery and she's just like, and throughout the whole movie she seems to be kind of like, okay, cool, until she almost gets raped on the ceiling, but she just seems so level-headed and just like they're telling her all this stuff and she's like, oh okay,
yeah.
cool.
Well, then she's
I'm
like-
gonna go jump into this portal in the closet and
Well, then she's like excited. Like she's excited.
Yes.
Like when all the like phenomena first starts happening, she's like, "Oh my God, watch this crazy trick! I put the chair here and it scoots across the floor to there." I would be
You
like,
need a hobby.
Nope. Like I would have been like, "Goodbye forever. Burn this house to the ground. I don't even give a shit. We'll collect the insurance money. Good day to you." Like,
It's one thing to be like, check out this cool trick with the chair. It's another thing to be like, she's done it so many times. She has
put
it
her kid-
mapped out.
Yeah.
And she's like,
and then
I put
puts
it
her
right-
kid in the
Yeah.
danger of it.
but she did put a helmet on her first.
She did.
So
Yeah,
and-
that was very
because
safe.
She didn't grease the floor well enough, but she did put a helmet on.
No, it's
Yeah.
because she already did it without the helmet. The kid kept hitting the wall.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, when dad comes, we'll put a helmet on him.
If dad asks, you've always had the helmet.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then she's like, it's so cool. It's another side of nature that we don't know anything about.
Yeah.
But at the same time, she's very excited about it while her daughter is still missing. And it just
I think by the time Carol Ann goes missing, she's pretty distraught, but not Craig T. Nelson level distraught.
There was moments where she's talking to the science team that she just seems kind of like, oh, that's cool, that's interesting. Your daughter is gone, and then there's some weird shit like, oh, the sister, she went to someone else's house, and then they just put Robbie in the cab.
Oh yeah, Robbie.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
take the dog with
The
you.
scene where they put their 10-year-old son in a cab is just like, goodbye, son. You're a man now. Time to go to the city and get a job.
Well, you guys asked me because my
what the
son's 10.
fuck?
You guys asked me, would you ever put Quinn in a cab? Like, fuck no.
It was a
What are you
different
talking about?
time.
It was the 80s. Kids took cabs all the time.
Kids went wherever,
They
did
did whatever they
whatever.
want.
Yeah.
Did they explain where he was going?
No.
His grandma's house.
Oh, it does?
okay.
Okay. We missed
Okay,
it.
well, we were probably we were screaming at the screen about the cab, so we missed that detail.
It's like 4 states away.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's fine. He took the golden retriever, the most trusted
him.
dog in film history.
Or protect him.
Yeah.
Yeah, their older kid, they're just like, I don't know, she's staying at friends' houses or whatever. And you can only imagine these friends, their parents are like, do you really have to stay at our house every night? Like, what's happening at your house? Like, is everything okay?
Yeah.
Right. Why is she here again?
I hear the mom's got a weed problem.
Yeah. Some wacky things going on over there. The wacky tobacco. Well, then there's that fucking scene. What's that random scene where the dudes are back there digging the pool, and she's like on her bike going to school, and they start like
hitting on her.
cat calling her.
Yeah.
She's clearly in high school. And then the reveal that the mom knows who
them.
they are.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
And let it happen. She saw it happen.
Yeah. And she's just like, those guys.
Exactly.
Don't bring sexual predators around
into your
child,
home.
maybe.
Yeah. So gross. Yeah. Also, if you do the math, they say at one point how old the mom is and how old the oldest daughter is. That oldest daughter was born when she was 16 years old. So there's
Coach,
there's
wrap it
something
up,
going
man.
on with this family,
Yeah.
and they just never tell you about it or explain it or talk about it.
Yeah.
At all. Yeah.
That is a very good point, though, that like the family dynamics are
There's just
not
they're
very
not really,
yeah.
there's not really characters there.
Yeah, there's a lot kind of well,
you can feel for their like their plight, but
Right.
like you don't
you're not
you don't,
super attached to them.
Yeah, you don't really know anything about the even the kids don't really have that much interaction between each other to kind of like the fact that they just go, all right, fucking kids, get out of here, like tells you like you don't even have a moment where they're kind of like, where's Carol Ann? Like please get Carol Ann back or anything. Like it just seems kind of like the plot
It's very
was-
plot driven. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the plot was the most important thing, and then just these random discussions about what was the afterlife or going towards the light, and these long drawn out monologues of from the two women that come over, and you're just like, okay, is this what the film is trying to tell me? Like, I don't know. And then it just kind of goes a little crazy. It's like, how the fuck do you know that you can go through a portal and come out just fine? Like,
Well, and I mean, the movie kind of, we were talking about this earlier, it kind of has a hard time deciding like what it's trying to be. What are the rules?
Yeah,
what are the rules of this haunting? They're like, it's a poltergeist because it's attached to a person. It's attached itself to Carol Ann. But then it takes Carol Ann and like the house continues to be haunted. And they were like,
Which
a
they
haunting is
immediately-
attached to a place. And so this seems very much attached to the house. And then they reveal that
Or
it's
the
because,
room.
right, they
Yeah.
reveal that it's because the house was built on a graveyard. And so it's like, okay, so that feels like it's not a poltergeist situation. But then like the thing in the closet that's trying to take her is like a demon. And I did have a moment of like, what the fuck are the rules of this?
They basically tried to say it was the devil at one point.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then
The part where they get Carol Ann back, like, okay, well, this is over. Let's put the kids back in that same room. What the fuck is wrong with you, parents?
world's worst parents.
You guys are fucking idiots.
They're just like,
And
it's,
with the door
it's all
closed.
over
Yeah.
now. It's all over.
No,
it's like,
that's when they all get in the
no.
cab.
You,
That's when you all get in the cab.
yes. Oh my God. Yeah. Why would you stay in that house ever again? That makes no sense.
Yeah.
And then the other thing was like, so the parapsychologist comes in with all her like scientific gear, right? And they're like, holy shit, like we don't even
Ray
know.
Parker Jr.
We're like beyond this is beyond our understanding. We have no fucking idea. So we got to bring in Zelda. And she just seems to like know everything.
It just explains
She's
away
just
the
like,
rest of the
bloop.
plot.
She's like the Deus Ex Machina
Yeah.
of this movie of just like, don't worry, I got this.
Right.
Which like she's a boss, but also it's kind of like it was fixed too easily.
Yeah,
Way
100%.
too
She walks in
easily.
and goes, okay, we just need to do this and we'll be good.
Tell
It
her
was like,
this, tell her that, do
Yeah.
this, go here, put a rope through the portal. How did they even know there was a portal there? Like it was just
Yeah.
what
was
And let alone know that a live thing could go through it.
Yeah.
Like, how do you
Right?
know it's not a time portal? And like throw throw the dead bird through it and see if it comes out any different.
Yeah, throw an apple through it and see if it just shows up.
something.
Yeah.
I guess they did do the 2 tennis ball test, which seemed very scientific.
Yeah.
Very scientific.
It just
throw
came
this
out
tennis-
gooey.
Covered in
It
jelly.
just came out
Really
covered in
gross.
jelly. So what does that mean for a human exactly?
It's human
You'll
jelly.
be fine. You'll just be covered in jelly.
In so much goop.
So, okay.
But
I
even
would-
all that aside, I still think
This is still good.
it's a still fun movie to watch.
It is very fun to watch. I agree. It does. There are a lot of bits that definitely hold up. So as far as the movie, yes, I think it was kind of worth it. Even though that Tobe kind of just went under a bus over and over for the rest of his career, and Spielberg, I don't know, he hasn't made anything great in a while. So
Well, let me ask you this. How many chainsaws do you think Steven Spielberg has? I bet not as many.
Right.
I bet
all
not
of
as many.
them.
I bet Tobe Hooper has one chainsaw that's signed by Steven Spielberg. Yeah.
That would be. That's awesome.
He-
Yeah.
I just like to hear the sound.
Tree, you about to be Spielberg. Okay. All right. I think we're wrapped up here. Well, we haven't done this in a while. How can people find you, Sequoia?
Yes. You can find both of my podcasts, Fanatical Fics and Where to Find Them, and But Make It Scary anywhere where pods are cast. You can also find But Make It Scary at But Make It Scary on social media or at the website butmakeitscary.com. You can find Fanatical Fics at Fanatical Fics or at fanaticalfics.com. And you can find me at Saskoya on Twitter.
Oh, I mean, you're right. I haven't done this in a while. I don't even remember.
Clint, do you remember the name of your other podcast?
You can actually, you can also find me replacing Clint on Getting Lost.
Yeah.
Clint's face right now was like, holy fuck, you guys.
My tattoo is in vain.
How does she even know Adam?
No, it starts changing.
No, I'm honestly really curious. How the fuck do you know about my podcast?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm halfway through season 2 already.
Of my show?
Yes.
You watch? Oh my god.
She does.
Oh
her
no, now they're best
research.
friends.
That's amazing.
No, I like your podcast.
You've just made Clint so happy.
That is amazing.
Well,
Well, yeah, I have another podcast. It's called Getting Lost. We talk all about the TV show Lost. And you can find that on like everywhere, social media stuff, all the bullshits.
All the places she just said, but
Yeah.
it's getting lost instead.
Yeah.
Ray, do you care?
Well, you can find me here at It Was a Shit Show. All the places, on the Twitters, on the Instagrams, on the TikToks. Ooh, follow us on the TikToks. We're there.
TikToks.
Yes, we're cool. We're young. We're cool young people. Oh, and I am at the Ray J on Twitter.
You don't need to follow me. Just follow the show, and in the next 30 seconds, you will hear all those links. So, thank you for joining us, Sequoia.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun.
Cool.
Yay!